happened after that? The lawsuit named both this app company called Character AI and Google, which holds a licensing agreement with Character AI's founders as a defendant. So in May of this year, just last month, a judge in Florida ruled that the case can proceed, rejecting the company's defense that chatbots output is protected under the First Amendment. This is one of the first cases to challenge an AI company's responsibility towards minors and potential psychological harm. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to show you exactly how using cognitive science, psychology to actually make these apps more addictive and how it's actually happening. So what's been happening right now with this case? Because it really is a groundbreaking case. There was a judge that ruled that the law, it can move forward. The lawsuit can move forward. They rejected the Character ID and the corporation's motion to dismiss it because it's not protected. And so this case is proceeding under the claims as negligent, wrongful death, product liability, or failure to warn. So think about it. What's happened then? So this is something that happened last February. And so then last February, there was no type of moderation or block list in place for this type of app. No separate controls for teenagers, a single model across all the age groups. So anybody who used this app, you're actually, seeing different content that may be harmful. So now, a year later, here we go. We got a dedicated model, which is a way of building the app to separate content for people who are under 18 with stricter filters, especially romantic conversations, things like this, and also a parental insight on the controls. So there's something called launch of parental insights to monitor the child's interactions. So what does that mean? What that means is that they've implemented improvements targeting teen safety, also to detect harm, suicidal ideation, that trigger interventions and direct users to help and things like that. But you got to understand, this is called containment and transparency. Ongoing discovery may reveal internal safety protocols, training data, making processes. There is product liability. Okay, if the product holds, if this court holds and says that this chatbot may face higher standards, then we're really looking at warnings. Think about a warning on your app, like a nutrition label, because of the type of AI that's on it. And so what is this doing? This is causing, the case is setting a precedent for companies to be scrutinized, and new laws and safety standards for AI regarding minors may follow. So this is what's happening currently. And so with this slide, what I wanted to do is really take a deep dive into some of the most popular apps among tweens. And if you don't know what a tween is 0 to 12, and then you got you have the Gen Z, which is another age group. But look at this. Character AI, you can see the controls. It says 13 and up officially, but often used by tweens without supervision. You have something called Replica, AI chatbots for friendship. Chai, 17 and over. Okay, not safe. Soulful AI, similar to Character AI, offers customizable characters with text-based chat. Now, the reason I'm really going in is because in my practice as a teacher, I've seen students use some of these apps, and I've actually had conversations with them about how the app makes them feel, some of the things that they've done, and how much time they actually spend on it. And these are some really serious algorithms that are really causing different types of addictive behavior. So if you don't know what apps your child is on, it can cause problems. And I do have a couple of news clippings I want to show, but some of these apps, as you can see, Anima AI, Cleverbot, Wiser for kids, you have apps that are geared towards mental health, emotional support. Now, there are some apps that will give you that, but you got to understand what are the limits and what are the controls that can cause problems. And so what are the trends? Well, the trend is something called artificial intimacy, where you really have a kid who's undeveloped and being manipulated by some of these algorithms. Okay, and artificial intimacy introduces the psychological concept of that's trending in academic and media circles. Okay, so when the AI listens but doesn't understand the hidden dangers. And so part of my thing here today is just to understand the analysis of user behavior, the privacy that you're doing, that you're giving up, the impact on students' interests, and even young adults, the social behavior. I mean, we've seen TikTok. I mean, we see our family members, relatives, people, family, all on these apps and all on these devices. But now there's some type of integration that's happening. The proliferation of AI apps and APIs and open source projects that allow you to really, really fine tune what you're doing with these apps. Now, before I go into retail, does anybody have anything they want to share, or maybe a personal experience that they've witnessed on some of these types of apps?
Brother Hood.
Yes.
Could you give us a short definition of AI and why it's important for us to become aware of its risk to mental health and
yeah, definitely,
and all that? Because I know I'm a dinosaur when it comes to it, and half the terms you're talking about is like being a 2-year-old trying to understand algebra.
Right.
Bring me up to date on the computer science thing.
Okay.
It ain't about, asking Siri to help me. I don't know. I get lost.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. It's definitely a higher level of understanding when you're talking about AI. But AI is kind of a catch term, artificial intelligence. But what it is imagine the AI keeping an index of everything that you do on your device, like browsing habits, how long you stay on the app, your location, everywhere you go, everything you buy, all the consumption you have on your phone and your search history, and then influencing your behavior and how it targets you. Okay, like showing you ads, showing you videos, showing you content, and basically setting up a growth in experience-based spending. Based on how you feel with your app, you're going to spend this or that depending on what they fed you in your algorithm. So if you're sitting there browsing your app and you're looking at certain things, then everything that you do on that is being basically indexed, targeted, and refed to you to keep you on your phone, on your device, and causing addictive behavior. And so it's basically misinformation. We got to understand that. AI in elections, climate technology, AI in education, where you have adaptive learning systems. You have apps that can basically give you an assessment with no teacher involved, and then actually, generate questions based on how you answered, all with a program. And so you can align an AI app to be very exploitive depending on how you want it to do. And a lot of this stuff with entertainment, that's what's happening. We have apps that are actually doing more than just search. Apps that are actually getting a profile of you and actually giving you certain content that maybe you shouldn't have. And so when you talk about AI, it's kind of a catch term. But what I'm talking about now is generative AI. Based on your own individual experience on your device, you may get fed something differently than somebody else. Does that help? All right. This next slide I want to talk about is artificial intelligence with the Apple platform. It's a little bit different. And I wanted to kind of go into it with a little clip. I want to pause this real quick. And before I go into this with Apple, I wanted to show you guys a couple of news clippings. One recently that's been talked about. And what it is, it's basically something that's going on with the apps that not a lot of people are really talking about. And it's really something current. It's not really like the same old Siri. We're trying to make Siri a little bit more powerful with app intents. But let's look at it. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. There we go.
With a growing concern about children interacting with social bots that are powered by artificial intelligence.
Attorney General Phil Weiser issuing a consumer alert in response to the growing number of reports of children's interactions leading to risky behavior and even self-harm. Fox 31's Aaliyah Sims spoke to experts, and she's joining us tonight with the warning. Aaliyah?
Yeah, Christine, from AI relationships to mental health, teens are really turning to AI, and parents, if they are not aware of what their children are doing, it could really lead to some real harm.
AI it's everywhere, in music, in video, and film.
Jackson Will Hoyt is no stranger to AI-powered chatbots.
It's like almost you're talking to a person. And, you know, I think once you kind of spend enough time with that, you can kind of get lost in that kind of illusion.
It's that illusion that prompted Attorney General Phil Weiser to issue a consumer alert warning parents of the dangers.
Everyone is susceptible to this, especially when we become complacent, when we doom scroll, when we go on and on social media.
Nikhil Krishnaswamy is a technical expert that works as an assistant professor of computer science at CSU. He explains what AI-powered chatbots are.
They're machines that are capable of having extended conversations with you, right? There's no person behind this machine typing responses to you. The way that they behave creates the impression that they actually have thoughts and can reason, and that maybe even they have feelings. And so people will tend to develop attachments to these.
That's what experts are concerned about when it comes to children and teens.
And we have particularly minors who are interacting with these machines. You don't know, one, what the machine is going to say, and then you also don't know how a minor is going to react.
Experts warn AI chatbots can generate disturbing content, including violence, explicit sexuality, self-harm, and eating disorders.
Parents need to be, understanding this is how this machine works, and need to be able to talk to their children about that, and kind of be aware of the general types of content that they might be exposed to in interaction with these AI systems.
And here are some tips experts are giving to parents tonight to familiarize themselves with social AI chatbots. They can turn age inappropriate. They can become addictive while also generating inaccurate or biased information. Now, your child's information can be shared with the platform's developer, creating privacy concerns. And it's also important to teach children that the chatbots are not human. And if you believe social AI chatbot companies are violating the law, you can file a complaint with the Colorado Attorney General's office. We have all that information for you on our website at kdvr.com. Reporting live here at the...
All right. So yeah, that's the first clip that I had. Any thoughts on that one?